Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to the Elevate Your Soul podcast. Today's episode, I am being interviewed by Kevin Orosz on his podcast, Revolution. I share my story as to how I ended up living life as a fairy mermaid who travels the world and hosts a podcast from being a scared, depressed, suicidal child. We talk about ghosts and aliens, starseeds and earthlings, life dharma and challenges, fairy mermaid magic, and so much more fun stuff. You can check out this interview as well on Kevin's podcast, Revolution, or find his work through his Instagram at Kev_Orozlan. I will put those in the show notes for you to find as well. And if you have a moment in time and you could leave me a 5-star rating and write a little review on the side, that would mean so much to me. It really helps get this information out there. I hope you guys enjoy the podcast episode.
What's up, family? This is Kevin Orosz. You're on the Revolution podcast. Today, I'm very excited for this guest. I'm joined by self-styled fairy mermaid, activator, and host of the Elevate Your Soul podcast, Arel Hug. What's up, Arel?
Thank you. Hi, so happy to be here.
Yeah, I was trying to trace back how I found out about you. I think it was like a year or more ago.
Yeah.
I think someone recommended your podcast actually, and then we have mutual friends that you've interviewed with. So yeah, it just is a full synchronicity. Like a few months ago, I was like, oh yeah, you were on my list of epic other podcast hosts, and here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah, let's kick it off with just your presence right now. What's most alive for you? How are you feeling in this moment?
So good. So good. Yeah. I just had lunch and I've been to the gym and it's a hot, warm day and I love podcasting. It's my favorite thing. So, and I love being interviewed. So I'm in a really good space.
It's nice being interviewed, right? As a podcast host, it's like nice to flip it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, people want to listen to me too. Yay.
Yeah. I can totally relate to that. Well, I mean, I guess selfishly, I want to know, and I think this is the best place to start. And I want to give you a creative constraint of like 11 minutes and 11 seconds to share your story, and specifically sharing the transformative points, the choice points, if you will, of your heroes, your heroines' journey, and why did you get into podcasting? You're someone I would judge and perceive to be very multidimensional. So you like, my interactions with you and being on your podcast, it's like you don't really like labels or either or thinking, which is awesome. And you also play with like a lot of fantastical energy, which I also love and think is awesome. So
thank you.
How did this even happen? You probably did come out of the womb like that, but there's also a story in between then and now.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah. People who meet me now, most people are really surprised when I say just like things about myself that is the opposite to how I am like now. Like people are like, oh no, I don't like my photos being taken. And I'm like, yeah, I used to also hide from the camera. And like when I was a kid, I used to cry in front of the camera because I felt so pressured to be in front of it. And I felt so hideous as a child. So like certain little things and like social anxiety, I had like severe social anxiety to the point where I didn't want people knowing my name. They'd be like, hey, like you seem nice. What's your name? And I'd be like, Brittany. Like I wouldn't want them knowing my real name and stuff. Like I've definitely transitioned, but as you said, like I came out of the womb still authentically like myself. So I'd had to like unlearn the conditioning that I had through society and of course childhood trauma wounds of thinking I'm not worthy enough or a good person and things like that. So, but I started podcasting because listening to motivational speakers and audiobooks and podcasts is the main thing what helped me like grow and expand and evolve. I never had a coach to rely on. I never had a therapist, not recommending that that's the good way to do it, or that's the best way to do it. But that was just my story. And it was just me in my car listening to podcasts by myself, a very depressed, scared girl. And I was listening to, Tony Robbins speeches and Jim Rohn and all these amazing people for years in my car. And that is literally what helped me grow. And it's not only just listening to podcasts that helps you grow. You have to learn to embody and integrate what you're hearing into your subconscious mind, and then actually change your behaviors in your lifestyle. And I don't know what the motivator was for me to do that, because I know a lot of people, they absorb content like crazy these days and they don't actually apply it to their lifestyle. So I don't know what it was that made me do that. It wasn't easy, but I think actually, I don't know if you can relate, but for a lot of people that I know that are successful now, they had a period where they were really depressed and they hit rock bottom. And I think when a lot of people hit that rock bottom place, it's a very like, you have to make a decision at that point, and you're like, I can no longer tolerate this. Like, I don't want to live anymore. And so it's either going to be death or life. And if I choose life, it's going to be an incredible life. And I'm going to do amazing shit with my life. And that I bumped into a few scenarios like that. But that was kind of like the main mindset that I had, was just getting to the place of wanting to give up and just being so depressed. Like, why am I here? This is so hard. I want to reincarnate to another galaxy. Like, really just looking death in the eye and not even being scared, and just being like, cool, that's one of my options, and life is the other option. And to be honest, like, death could have been an easier option, because deciding to keep living and do a 180 with your life isn't always that easy, but it does start with making that decision. And then from making that decision, that's when things start to change. So I guess that's what it was kind of just like getting so depressed that I was like, okay, if I'm going to decide to live, I'm going to really have to change my life. So I think that's probably what helped me apply from what I learned through podcasts. And that's why I'm doing a podcast now, is I worked on myself. I changed my life around. I was someone who used to say, I hate my body, I hate my voice, I hate my face, I hate the way I look, like, I hate humanity, I don't like dogs. And now I'm like, I love
Dogs
people,
too?
I love
My
dogs.
God.
Yeah. And that's when I started a podcast. I was just like, fuck it. Like, I totally transitioned my lifestyle. And because podcasts helped me so much, I wanted to like incorporate everything I learned from, like, over the course of time, like 100 different podcasts or whatever, and 100 different books, and like blend them all together and put my little fairy mermaid spin on it. And hopefully have people relate with it, and then be able to help other people. So yeah.
Amazing. I can relate to so much of that. And I mean, you're absolutely right. There's no person who's doing great work or is like a hyper creative, productive, epic human who loves humanity, who hasn't been to the depths. And that's,
Yeah.
Jung said, no tree who reaches to heaven doesn't have roots that grow to hell. And it's just true. It's just equivalent exchange. It's like natural law. And yeah, I can totally relate to that scenario. And I'm sure many people can, where when things get painful enough, you're forced to evolve. That's what it is. So, and there's a lot of choices that you can make along that path. Like, some people get to that point and they choose life, but they don't make something out of it. So it takes another heroic act to be like, not only am I going to choose life, I'm going to choose a creative life of service, which I think is the highest calling that we can work.
It started for me. I remember I made like my first website, and the saying I don't say it anymore in my head, but the saying was always, create a life worth living. And that, I don't know if I heard that from somewhere or I made it up or both, but that was always kind of my slogan. And that's kind of when I decided to live. I was like, I'm only going to create a life worth living. And yeah, I was fully like, rather than just being like, oh, I'm just going to live because because I'm going to live. I was like, no, if I'm going to live, I'm going to do some pretty epic shit with the time I have here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck
And
yeah.
that's hard as well, because I do believe for a lot of us, not everyone's soul path is that they have to like hit rock bottom in order to turn around. And I think a lot of the Gen Y, Gen Z, the younger generation right now, I think humanity is changing where they're having to do less of that. But it's a lot of the like indigo kids, like kids born in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. They're kind of, I don't know, a lot of their lessons here on earth was to kind of hit rock bottom and then learn through that experience. And it's hard when you see other people, like friends of mine or family members, who are in a dark place right now. And I'm like learning to kind of let go and not control and surrender a little bit more. And like, I want to be there for them, but I'm also like, maybe things need to get a lot worse than what they are now in order for them to have that turning point. And I don't want to like ruin and get in the way of someone's life if that's their life calling, is to like actually hit rock bottom and then learn from that. Because I don't want to like help them on the way before they hit rock bottom and then they'll just plateau and like stay in this, because a lot of people are in that where like they don't hit rock bottom. So it's not like to the point where they're like, fuck, it's either like make or break. They're just like kind of comfortable and they're just like coasting on this like mild depression for
It's like barely comfort zone. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm kind of like, when I see people like that, I have to really use my intuition. I'm like, and I think a lot of like just guidance is good too. Like, and that's what I feel a lot of my purpose is as well. My dharma is to inspire. And I don't mean that in a conceited way, but just kind of like lead by example rather than like always shoving words down their throat and being like, hey, have you thought about doing this? It's just like, just lead by example, and then they'll see you and your lifestyle, and they'll see you have energy, and they'll see that you're happy all the time. And then eventually they'll come around and be like, oh, maybe I should incorporate some different things into my life.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. You can't change people. It's a fundamental truth. Many of us know that have walked this path, right? The very tricky archetype of the savior, right? I'm gonna save someone from their pain, which is coming from a beautiful place from the heart. But as we know, it doesn't work that way. And people have to choose transformation. You can't transform someone. Even if you could, it wouldn't stick because they didn't choose it. So
exactly. That's a big one too. Point. But you can inspire, right? So you can't change someone, but your inspiration and your lifestyle can be enough for someone to be like, oh, wow, it's time that I'm going to make a change in my life.
Totally. So. That's the same tip I'm on. And it's so much more fun this way too, instead of trying to like pull people out of there, especially our family, right? Like the people we're closest to, post awakening, it's like, fuck, I just want to like have everybody have this experience, and it's you just can't do it. So I want to take a turn here, Earl, because you mentioned it, and I actually in this moment I've talked about some wacky shit with guests on this podcast, and wacky from the mainstream perspective. None of it's wacky to me. It's fascinating. But you mentioned indigo children and starseeds, and I would love for you to share your perspective on that. What is that? What is that phrase? What does that signify? What does that mean to you?
Yes. So I haven't done a podcast on this yet, but I've been wanting to for months. So as in like, I wanted to interview someone else on it. So I don't feel like confident enough myself to speak on it. But all I know is that like there's the indigo children, and then there's a lot of rainbow and crystal children being born right now. And they have that, their dharma and their purpose to help humanity and serve is less about having this like traumatizing experience or midlife crisis or quarter life crisis or whatnot, and then like learning and growing from there, because that's like a lot of my generation, like your generation, and then like the younger generation right now that are being born, their journey is a little bit more like, oh, like look at what our parents did and how they fucked up, and let's not do what they did. Like they're really, I think they're here to change the system quite a bit, or even so like you and I can help change the system, but the new generation is very like, we're not going to do the old stuff. We're very set on doing things in a way that's more practical to us. So yeah, I'm so excited to have kids. I'm like, if I can have kids that don't have to have like a freaking crisis in order to learn. Like, I'm like, hell yes, that'll be way easier for me as a mom.
Yes, I love that. Well, this is a beautiful generational wisdom that like each new generation brings in the next step in
Yeah.
evolution. And I don't think I've ever shared this on my show, but I once met a Scottish medicine man. So he was like he was part of the Cree Indians, and like he was this very funny, very wise character I encountered in Thailand backpacking many years ago. And he was sharing that basically our parents' generation, the baby boomers and back, I'm assuming your parents are baby boomerish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their job was to repair and anchor the physical world. So post World War II and all these things, the physical world got like fucked up, like it was bad. And just the economy wasn't, we're living in a hyper abundant world, and it wasn't quite there yet. So that generation came in and set up shop physically. Their children came to repair the world spiritually. So that's why I believe you and IRL and many like us, like our whole life has been on this tip, like personal development, psychology, like healing work, transformation. And that takes many forms. It's very broad. So spiritual is very broad and encompassing here. And then our children, the new ones coming in right now, they're here to actually do the physical again with the spiritual understanding. So they're actually here to anchor and fully grid the earth in the new ways.
Wow.
And so like I remember hearing that, and I'm getting chills now, like, and I was like, this is true, like holy shit. And I feel the same way. Like my children, I want to train them like Jedi. So like they're going to be my guru, and not only will they not have trauma and have to go through all these like limiting beliefs and blocks and wounds. I mean, they'll have some. It's impossible like in a human body, I think, to not have some, but nothing like what our parents or even what we had to go through, I imagine. And then they will just like, because their source energy was never kinked or stopped, the water's flowing, who knows what a human being like that will look like. And I think they're already walking around. There's a ton of kids out there now whose parents are like woke and they're doing it right. And I've met some of these kids, and when you're in their presence, you're just like, holy shit, you can just feel them.
You're gonna change the world, buddy.
It's true. So that's really amazing. And well, I guess this is the natural next question, because someone listening to this right now or watching this is like, well, Kevin Orosz, what the fuck is a starseed? Like, what do you mean rainbow crystal children? And to me, what that means is children encoded with information beyond this planet. And I would love to hear your perspective on, I don't even like this word, but it's the official term is, extraterrestrials, other species, and even the multidimensional. So like not non-physical beings. What's your take on that?
So interesting. I actually haven't heard of anything like that. I just heard that like it's kind of a cycle, and I think eventually it goes back and like it loops around, and then we'll have like more indigo kids again, and then more rainbow kids again. And I don't know what the other names are, and that's why I'm like, if you know someone, I want to interview someone on this of the cycles.
I might know a guy.
Awesome. But I don't know too much about it, although I had an Akashic Records reading a few months ago, and I asked her, because she said I was a starseed, which maybe they tell everyone that because they want you to feel special. But I asked her, I said, so what is a starseed? And she just said, the way she explained it for me, referring to me, was that I didn't have many lives on Earth. So some people who are on Earth right now, and I'm sure people will think of them if they think of who's in their lives, they're called earthlings. And they're people who have had many lives like all of us. Our souls have had many lives, but a lot of their lives have already been on Earth as a human. So they like fit in well, like Earth just makes sense to them. They're like, yeah, humans, yeah, the law, yeah, jobs, yeah, this. And then there's like people
the law.
And then there's people who are like starseeds, and they've just had multiple lives, but they've all been in other galaxies so far away from Earth, and that's why they call them starseeds. And they come to Earth and they're just like, but why are you doing it like this? But why are you doing it like that? And we're just like confused, and we're like, oh, Earth is so hard. So that's how she explained it to me.
That's great. I mean, I'm right there with you. And I love that meme where it's like the aliens on the ship and they're like looking at Earth, and it's like all the war and the religion and all this stuff. And one of them's like, he's like, dude, Earth's a fucking ghetto. Let's get out of here. It's just like, it's like the backwater of some of these species. Like, you know, I mean, you can imagine like a true like enlightened civilization, not even enlightened, like they still have issues, but they're just doing things that make sense, right? Like clean energy, clean water, you know, clean governance, and like, the war and things like that. Science and technology are like helping everybody grow and manifest their best selves. I mean, you can imagine how primitive we must seem. And, you know, what's crazy around this year, 2020, which has been a wild one, didn't even make headlines really, because too many people are arguing about Trump and Biden and COVID. But, you know, the Pentagon has declassified and admitted tons of UFO and alien technology where they're like, yeah, this definitely isn't from Earth. And here's everything we've known since the 60s. And like a week ago, the top Israeli space security chief, basically Israeli NASA, came out in a press conference and is like, yeah, Trump knows aliens, and we've been talking aliens for 40 years. They basically said that we're not ready to meet them, so that's why they're going to remain hidden. And that was like no one saw it probably, but that was mainstream news. Like that was like on
You
NBC.
need to send me this stuff, some links after.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think that's like you, I want to interview someone who's like spent their life on this shit and like, and I'm excited for that. But that all being said, I also am a starseed, so great job coming to Earth.
I can tell. I've only believed in aliens this year. Up until then, I was like,
really?
I was like, those little green things? That's only in Hollywood movies. And then this year,
I would not have guessed that about you. I would have guessed that you've been like talking and channeling aliens since like age 7.
Spirits? Yes. Like I believe in like, and I guess aliens, some people would call that aliens, like people who
what's the difference between a spirit and an alien?
Exactly, because I believed in like people who've passed away and then like their spirit still hanging around. But then I also believed in like, when I got a little bit older, I believed in like spirituality, like the law of attraction and like all the laws of energy and like the universe, and there's something greater out there. But aliens, I think it's just because I don't know, like maybe I don't know why I never really believed in it. But then when I did more research, like this year, it took like 2 articles for me to be like, oh, of course they're real. So it didn't take much convincing, but I think I just never really looked into them. I was more on like always the side of like psychics and mediums and clairvoyance and, you know, like communicating with my dead father and stuff who passed away when I was a kid, like more like that. And I never really like thought about people who were never humans before, for example, just like floating around the earth in the galaxy. I just never really thought about it too much, but yeah, I did some research and I was like, oh yeah, this kind of makes sense to me now, like especially with what's going on in 2020, like, oh, maybe the government does know, or not everyone working for the government, but there are some people who probably know about this stuff, and maybe they don't want us knowing about this stuff and things like that. So
totally.
Yeah,
I look forward to listening to that episode when we go full alien. Which, speaking of, I would love to hear about some of your why around your podcast, Elevate Your Soul. Like, what does that mean to you? Like that phrase, elevate your soul, and why do you pick? How do you choose the people you choose to speak about or speak into? Are there like themes, or is it like my show where I just pick cool people?
both. So sometimes I'll just find really cool people and I'm like, you here now. And other times I'm like, I want to interview someone on Indigo and Crystal Children. And I'll just like make a post on social media and I'll try finding someone. Yeah. What was your other question?
You pretty much answered it. Now I'm curious, like, what is your all-time favorite episode? Like, what episode was just like, whoa, this blew my mind. It was so much fun to record.
I don't have one. I have like 20.
What's the first one that came up just now?
uh I like the ones I've done a few recently where they're almost like meditations and there's music playing in the background and it's just my voice and they're short. They're like 5-10 minutes, but it's like I have like a morning motivation one people can play in the morning, and then I have like an I am affirmations one. I think I have one other, but like I'm kind of like going into that kind of like almost a meditation, like this something someone can play before they go to bed at night and then first thing when they wake up in the morning or when they're stressed during the day, like just something quick. And I think that's like becoming a lot more popular in today's world as well, like more like small snippets that like actually really help you with a lot of information in it or that will help change your state. So I'm having fun with those. But an episode about a topic, no, too many. I don't have one in my head.
Well, I love that like solo cast idea. I actually haven't done that yet. I've even recorded some and haven't released them, and that's definitely
Oh,
exciting to me. Of like solo, like guided meditations, quick, like bite sized. And
yeah.
a fun fact, I actually was talking to a friend of mine who's like in LA and like serious podcasts. Like, I mean, not that this isn't serious, but he's like monetized and like
Yeah.
entrepreneur podcasts, like, you know, like studying the game.
Like a celebrity in the podcast world.
I mean, he will be if he keeps going the way he's going. He's a legend.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, basically, he's like, because of attention spans, if you look at the analytics, and this is probably useful for you to know as a host, the most listened to and downloaded podcast across all platforms in 2020 were like 20 to 35 minutes. So
Yeah.
like they're super short. And even like I think the magic number is actually 22. So 22 minutes is the shortest amount of time where you can have an episode where people will listen to the whole thing. Otherwise, they skip around or they jump off. So
Yeah.
it's pretty
It
crazy.
depends. Yeah, it depends for me. I kind of like the only reason why I like the longer ones is when I'm driving, I plug them in
Yeah.
and then I don't like if it's a short one, I'm like not even finished getting to the location I need to get to and I'm like, "Oh, now I need to get my phone out." Like cuz I don't like looking at my phone when I drive and then like, "Oh, I need to find another podcast cuz I want to be hearing something while I'm driving." And the long ones it's just like cool, I can drive somewhere and then I can like get back in my car an hour or two later and it'll like start off right where I left off and I don't need to like fuck around on my phone. But I have some podcasts on my episode. I think my shortest episode is like 7 minutes. So I have some really short ones and then I have ones that are like an hour and 45 minutes. So I'm just super random.
I like the longer the better. Like that's why I love
Yeah.
Joe Rogan. Like I want 3 hours with Matthew McConaughey or like Kanye or
Mm,
whoever. Like I want to go deep, and I think my longest one is probably 2 hours, and it's just like it's
wow.
just riffing and like it's a real conversation. And so
Yeah.
it just takes a different kind of person. And like yeah, road trips, driving are the best to just put
Yeah.
that on and like and just listen, like as if
Yeah.
you were sitting at the table with them. And
Yeah.
um, that's where I
Like
really
you're
want
like
to see the internet go, is long format content. That's why I
okay.
love YouTube, I love podcasts, and I love books because you can actually go into a process.
Yeah.
Instagram has trained us to like 60-second sound bites go. It's just like, you know, it's like it's
Not even 60. It's the Instagram reels. It's like
right.
10 seconds, go.
Yeah,
Change someone's life in 10 seconds, go.
crazy. Sell your product in 10 seconds, go. Just
Yeah.
Jesus, like it's too much. Yeah,
So true. Yeah.
everyone's dopamine is just like fucked. Like they're so like they're just like stimulation. Okay, next, and it's just like
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy.
Well, and everyone deals with anxiety these days, right? So like
Yeah,
that comes with ADD, ADHD. So we're like have no attention span. We're like super hyper all the time. So we're like, what's next? What's next? What's next? You know, like people couldn't sit down and read a whole book these days. Whereas like back in the day, that's all you had to do. That was like the highlight.
yeah. And a lot of people like took that like as like a big deal. Like if you had a book and you read it and you
Mm,
remembered it, like that was real knowledge, and you like
yeah.
developed yourself in that process. And now it's yeah, it's really weird that we're in an age of information like abundance, like flood,
Totally.
but there's a drought or a scarcity of actual knowledge because
Yeah.
information does not equal knowledge. So
Yeah.
which is pretty
Or
interesting.
integration. I feel like there's a huge lack of integration.
Yeah.
Like I have some friends who can just like sit at a table for like an hour and talk about mindfulness and all the shit that they learned, and I'm like, cool, you're not actually embodying any of what you're saying. So yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It is.
So I would love to get your perspective on this year. Like like how, first off, how have you experienced 2020, this great year that's been a roller coaster?
Mm-hmm.
And also like what are some of the meta themes or narratives, some of the things you're noticing as you move through life there in New Zealand and beyond?
Yeah, yeah. Sadly, my key learnings was like you can't trust everyone. Which before that I was like, you can trust everyone. And I'm like, no. um, and to let go a little bit more, like bit too much, like the first half, like I'm sure for everyone, like March and April, everyone was just like, fucking what? And so like I was on my, I wasn't bored during the lockdowns, but I just was on my computer every day and like looking up interviews with people, like tapped into David Icke and like all these like people with all their theories, and I just soaked up everything. And then it took a while for me to like process it and be like, cool, what do I want to take and what feels intuitively right, quote unquote right, and what can I let go of, and then just like not fearing, like so many people still now are like, oh, they're going to make vaccines mandatory and you're never going to be able to travel again. And like I have friends already asking me now, like, so you're going to take the vaccine or not, like, and if you're not going to take it, are you okay with never traveling again? I'm like, whoa like slow down. It's Christmas tomorrow. So yeah, just like learning to not overanalyze all the possibilities because no one knows. And like the stock market as well, I was trying to like friggin' determine that all year, and I'm just like, it's not what anyone thought it would do. So not learning to not like waste my time on like continually projecting and like trying to figure out what's going to happen in the future, and just being a little bit more present, I guess, which is hard during times like this. But the first half of my year was messy, and then in the middle I had like a little pothole, but the second half of this year was fine for me because I'm in New Zealand, so we didn't have any lockdowns basically
Okay.
for like the end half of the year here. And yeah, and then that's when I was just very like, I'm just going to focus on now, not worry too much about, all the things that could change. And I guess I have a lot of faith as well, and that's where my peace comes in. And I'm very like, I think there's too many people waking up, becoming conscious and aware of what's happening, and I just have faith that even if there's not enough people, quote unquote, woke right now, that something's going to happen where people are just going to be like, oh wow, like, and start questioning things a little bit more if they haven't already.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just have faith that it might take a while, it might take a few years till we come up with like a whole other solution that's like fair on everyone. But yeah, just like not to rush into anything right now and not like stress out today on something that could happen in a year or two from now. So yeah.
Totally. I love that
And you,
perspective.
what is your perspective on this year?
Yeah, I mean, this is the Great Reset, and I'm not talking about some economic agenda of powers that shouldn't be. I'm talking
Okay.
about like an inner personal journey and reset. I read this beautiful like article transmission from this elder. I think she was European actually. Um, so like some of that pagan ancestry.
Mm,
And basically, it's like before a birth in ancient times, you would wait well after excuse me after a birth you'd wait 40 days before the child was even allowed outside or allowed into the tribe, or like I forget the name of the tribe, but it was like
okay.
this sacred pause where it's just the mother and the child. And I
Uh,
actually believe that humanity's already we already have enough people who are online, conscious, awake, aware
mhm.
already right now today
Okay.
to shift the whole civilization. But they're a lot of them are not ready, or they're not in position, or they're not like set up the way life and its organizing intelligence wants them.
Yeah.
So we're in that pause. And she was basically making the argument, which I agree with, that as crazy as it is, like with vaccinations and lockdowns and like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do enough research, and I don't think anyone could do enough research, because what's your source of research? Googling stuff. Like, no one knows what's going on, and that's I know that I don't know, and people that tell me
Yeah.
that they know, I know that they don't know. So that's
Yeah.
step
Yeah.
one of 2020. Then you can just
Mhm.
relax and enjoy the show. um,
Yes.
we're in a
Yes.
sacred reset, we're in a sacred pause, even though people, I mean, there are people for sure that have plans for you, I, all the people we love, that are not good. Like they're it's just, if you live in a naive reality, just in case someone's listening who still thinks that their government is here to protect them, and it's like mommy and daddy, it's like, there's some other episodes you can listen to that are red pills that are more hardcore. But yeah, all that to say, their agenda, whatever's happening, is serving us, because it's forced everyone to slow down. It's forced
Mm-hmm.
everyone to go within and actually, for a lot of us, do a fuckload of shadow work and be like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck, I actually am not happy with my life. These relationships are not aligned. My
Yeah.
career isn't aligned. Where I live isn't aligned. So that's
Mm.
the biggest gift we've been in my lifetime, and probably in yours. I mean, I can't think of another event besides 9/11 where
Yeah.
everyone was forced to kind of like pop into awareness. And so
Yeah.
I'm really excited of what happens after the sacred pause, because just like the archer's arrow, there's been a big pullback, a lot of tension, a lot of people getting a lot of deep inner cavern work, like going into the pit. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna balance out. We're gonna have a
Yeah.
great expansion now. And so
Yeah.
what does that look like? What do we want to see in the world post COVID lockdowns and all this nonsense? Um, so yeah, that's what I think is happening. I'm very blessed to have been in Bali most of the year. So I
Yes.
have experienced very little issues with lockdowns and COVID. And then my
Nice.
heart goes out to people that, have had family members die from it, and have been in
Yeah.
like hardcore areas where there's been
Yeah.
riots and looting and lockdowns. I mean, I don't want to spiritually bypass any of it. And
Mm.
I'm optimistic. And I think
Yes.
giving into despair, freaking out about conspiracy theories, not only doesn't serve you, it doesn't serve your family, friends, or village. It actually brings the energy down to where you are going to create that. You're going to create more fear, because your nervous system is entrained to it.
Yeah. My dog's playing on my bed.
He feels it. He knows the energy.
Yeah, he's chasing his tail.
That's what a lot of people did this year, I feel like, is chase their tail, unfortunately.
Oh, funny.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I want to go to a lightning round now, Arel. And so the invitation
Alright.
here, the challenge is just to answer top of the head, top of the heart, whatever's coming up.
Yep.
And yeah, these are ones I actually haven't done on the show in a while, but they're fun. First one is cliche but real. You can have any superpower from fiction, fantasy, whatever. What would you choose?
I already have it because I'm a fairy mermaid.
Okay, great. What's your top fairy mermaid superpower? Tell me about it.
To manifest people who need my exact healing, like my style of love and empathy and nourishment. I manifest them and I completely transform their lives, and then they go and I find another one. um,
That's a
yeah,
great superpower.
I've had a lot of that, and that just it's so good because it's like, wow, I can like still look at those people today, even though they're not like necessarily a part of my life now, and I'm like, wow, I really helped, I guess, turn the steering wheel on that person's life. Not that I changed them, but I helped them like turn that steering wheel for them and move their life in a different direction, and that's really powerful. But in terms of like Disney superpower,
Sure.
um probably to run like as fast as I can to the point where I'm like invisible, and then that would mean I'm able to like run on top of water, and so I could just like go to Hawaii and back in like one day
Awesome.
and like skip immigration, like all that shit, and just like zoom wherever I can and then come back. Yeah, definitely like running speed at the speed of light. That would just be incredible.
I like the Flash. That's awesome. Which is interesting
Yeah.
that you would choose that over flying, which is what most people choose. So that's cool that you
Oh,
are into
I didn't
running.
know
But hey, it kind of does the
But
same thing.
flying doesn't sound as fast. Like if you're flying, it's like, okay, I'm in Hawaii in like 10 seconds and like it took you 3 days. Like, what's up? I'm already back from my holiday. And you're still like, oh, this is so exhausting. It's so cold up in the sky.
That's one way to do it. That's one way to fly. So next
Like,
question.
how are you gonna pack all your bags?
Next
Sorry.
question is, if I deposit $100 million in your bank account tomorrow and you have to spend it in 24 hours, what's the move?
100 million. So hard because like my head straight away is like charity, but I don't trust a lot of charities out there, and I have a good reason
There,
not to.
there.
So yeah, so it's kind of like 24 hours. I could do so much more in like 6 months with that money. Um, is like putting it in a term deposit an answer?
You guessed it. Bitcoin. I mean, that's
Bitcoin.
legit. That's legit.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, it's hard now with travel restrictions because I was gonna say go to Hawaii in the next 24 hours and buy like a beautiful big home and like a boat, and then I have a
Nice.
setup. But
Okay.
yeah,
That
so I guess that's it.
that works. That's totally fair. Awesome. Okay. So similarly, but on a different tip, um, tomorrow you gain vast political power. So you become the Prime Minister of New Zealand or
Oh
of the free world. But again, only for 24 hours. What dictates, mandates do you create in that time?
God. Ooh, oh, that's such a hard question. I need longer to think about that one. Depends where I am as well, because Vancouver, the problem that upsets me there is always the homeless people. I'm like, they need a solution for that. And I don't have like the perfect solution for that either, but they need help and they need to get off the streets. And then like, I don't know, like depends where I am in the world, but in New Zealand, I, in politics, I don't know. If I was just like a magic fairy, I would just give everyone like more love and self-love and feelings of self-worth. I think that would
Great.
help because that would like end war, end domestic violence, just like boom, 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 self-love, self-love.
Great. So
Yeah,
self-love fairy takes office and just
yeah.
makes everyone feel worthy of love. That's, I mean, that's probably the best political solution I've ever heard. Great. Next question is, tomorrow you can travel backwards in time and meet one person from the past, living or dead, and have dinner with them. Who would it be?
Ooh, my dad came to mind straight away. Like now, if he was, yeah, yeah, because he passed when I was 11. So I was kind of like, I knew him from such a child's perspective of like, he's big and scary and I need to listen to him rather than like an adult, like, cool, yeah, what are his strengths? What are his weaknesses? So, um, him, and then who's still alive right now? Oof, I don't know. Tony Robbins is pretty cool.
He robs. Just want to feel some of that energy. Yeah, I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, so good. Yeah.
Cool. All right, last question, and it's along the similar lines of just limitless thinking, and I really want to invite limitless thinking. Share your vision in your lifetime. So let's call it, you're going to live a long life, the next like 60, 70 years of a
Nine.
healed, awakened, light age, golden age, whatever you want to call it, humanity. Just like paint the
Mhm.
picture for us.
a lot more self-love. Like that's why I'm doing my podcast, is for the self-awareness, to work on your self-love and your self-care. And then from there, we learn to be of true service to other people and truly love other people and truly make other people happy. And then through self-love, we become happier ourselves. So yeah, that is like what I want for humanity while I'm on earth, is just to like create awareness, create more self-love, and from there, more happiness and more joy and more peace on earth.
Peace on earth, yes. And peace on earth comes
Definitely.
from peace inside, because hurting people are hurting people. So I love that. It's so simple and
It
it's so
really is.
true. And there are many pathways to that. So I also share that vision. And I would hope that that self-love shows up in our, to enhance this vision. It shows up in our economies. It shows up in our energy. It shows up in our governance. It shows up in our relating and how we treat each other, both emotionally, physically, sexually, like on all levels, like,
And the animals,
in the earth, yeah,
the
and the whole
ocean.
earth and all the beings in it. If we
Yeah.
loved ourselves, we wouldn't be freaking out or hurting the earth or the environment either. So
Raping cows all day. Yeah.
yeah, so great. Like, calling that in, so it is.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I guess that's not the last question. The last question, which I'm ripping from the legend, Tim Ferriss, who was one of the first people to inspire me to want a podcast. Even before Joe Rogan, Tim Ferriss was holding it down. And he always asked his guests, Aurel, is there anything that I didn't ask you that I should have?
No, because I don't like shitting on people.
So to rephrase, is there anything I didn't ask you that you wanted me to ask you?
No.
Great. Great. Well, that feels complete then.
Yeah.
Legendary. Well, Aurel, tell the people what you're working on / where they can find you. Is there anything alive, a project, an invitation? Obviously, go listen to the Elevate Your Soul podcast for sure.
Yeah. On YouTube as well, Elevate Your Soul podcast. You can find me on YouTube. I'm trying to move like more of my audience to YouTube. I love YouTube. And you can watch my interviews online. And then I also have a playlist of like creative extras where you can watch me do yoga or cut my hair into a mullet or do a bunch of weird shit. So yeah.
Great. Awesome. Well, go check that out. Here's to YouTube growing, because yeah, we obviously don't want to be pigeonholed into one platform, and I'm on that same tip. So yeah, I want to thank you. So grateful and honored to meet you, and also to podcast with you. I was on your show last week, so really excited for those episodes, and thank you.
Thank you so much. This was fun.
Cheers. Well, family, if this episode resonated with you, I would love a review on iTunes. Sharing is caring. So if something about this episode really like, whoa, it impacted you, it sparked something, reach out to Aurel or myself and invite a friend into the conversation, a family member. This is the year to do it. Peace, powerful people. I will see y'all soon.
Hey YouTube fam, if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button below. And if you think a friend, a family member, or just someone you know who could benefit from this podcast episode, please share this video with them. And if you've been enjoying the Elevate Your Soul podcast, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for new episodes weekly. Thank you.